The restraints clicked shut around her wrists with a finality that echoed louder than the guards' boots on the tribunal chamber's steel floor. Kayla Virex walked with measured steps, head high, the orange glow from the planet below glinting off her burnished chains. Every eye in the chamber followed her, some with disgust, some with curiosity, a few with poorly concealed fear. No one spoke as she was led to the defendant's platform, a circular pedestal surrounded by holographic glyphs that shimmered with legal code. She had been captured like a trophy. That was how the Dominion worked. They didn't silence you when they could parade you. She had been a commander once, hero to insurgents, war criminal to the regime, and now they made her a spectacle. Kayla didn't flinch when the restraining field activated, lifting her an inch off the floor. She didn't blink when the voice of the AI judge filled the space, cold and glacial. Subject: Kayla Virex, former Dominion strategist. Accused of treason, instigation of rebellion, illegal seizure of military assets, and assassination of senior command. Across the chamber, past tiers of tribunals and foreign dignitaries, a man sat with his hands folded under his chin, General Idrin Rusk. His expression was unreadable, but she saw the flicker of something in his eyes. Not pity, regret. Kayla inhaled once, slow and steady. Her gaze swept the room. She counted exits, memorized guard positions, noted the lag in the sentry droid's reaction time as it scanned the crowd. They had made one mistake. They thought her broken. The prosecutor, a lean, silver-skinned Nuvian in ceremonial robes, began the opening charges. You were once loyal, Commander Virex. Decorated. Trusted. How did the jewel of the Dominion become its most wanted traitor? Kayla didn't answer immediately. Her silence was not submission. It was strategy. Each second of pause bent the room's tension tighter. Then calmly she spoke. I didn't change. The Dominion did. A ripple of murmurs stirred through the chamber. The prosecutor leaned in, lips tight. Are you denying the destruction of Outpost Tyrex for the death of Governor Solemn? I'm confirming it, she replied. And I'd do it again. Shock swept the room like a blade. Kayla's voice remained level, but her jaw clenched, barely betraying the memory she'd just relived. Solemn's laughter echoing over the screams of villagers when the orbital strike began. That memory still burned hotter than any plasma fire. The AI interjected. Clarify intent, accused. Justice, Kayla said, her voice like iron. When systems rot, you don't ask them to heal. You break them. From his seat, Rusk shifted. Once her mentor, he had taught her tactical ethics, told her the Dominion served peace. But when her unit discovered what they were truly protecting, slave mines masked as research stations, Rusk had been the first to look away. The first to sign her warrant. The prosecutor began to pace. You led the breakers. You stole ships, hacked Dominion systems, killed your own comrades. I buried comrades, she corrected. Killed collaborators. He turned on her, voice rising. You brought chaos to order. You destroyed the future for billions. Kayla's eyes narrowed. The Dominion's future isn't the universe's. In the gallery, some shifted uncomfortably. A few lowered their eyes. She saw one figure, human, in worn civilian clothes, making a small sign with their fingers. Resistance code. You are not alone. The trial continued, footage projected above. Burning cities, hacked Dominion messages, soldiers following Kayla into battle. The images had been chosen to vilify, but the crowd's reactions were mixed. In one video, she held a fallen child, eyes blazing. In another, she defied a commander's orders, pulling wounded civilians onto a departing ship. It painted a portrait far more complex than the Dominion wanted. The AI's voice echoed again. Final opportunity for plea declaration. Do you confess to the charges? Kayla let the silence stretch. Then, slowly, she lifted her head. I confess that I refuse to serve monsters. I confess I shattered your lies. I confess I chose the fire, knowing I'd burn. The chains on her wrists gleamed as she spread her arms. Do your judgment. I'm not here to beg. I'm here, so the galaxy remembers what you tried to erase. The chamber stilled. Even Rusk looked shaken. For the briefest second, something faltered in his composed posture. Then it was gone. The AI responded, proceeding to verdict deliberation. Lights dimmed, and the sentry droids moved into standby. Kayla's eyes flicked once toward the vents above, the leftmost ones subtly hissing. The Dominion hadn't seen the breadcrumbs. But her people had. It would begin soon. As the judges began deliberating, the fire suppression system triggered without reason. Kayla smiled faintly. She didn't come to survive. She came to end the trial. On her terms. The hiss from the ventilation shaft was subtle, but Kayla recognized it immediately. It was not malfunction. It was signal. Somewhere below the tribunal chamber's polished floor, the breakers were already moving. Smoke began to bleed slowly from the far corner of the ceiling, thin as a whisper. The AI's sensors failed to register it. Of course they did. The gas signature had been designed by Nico, the breaker's ex-Dominion chemist, to mimic harmless coolant vapor. On the bench, Kayla adjusted her weight slightly, shifting the angle of her foot until it rested against the pressure node built into the pedestal's base. 1 tap. 2. A pause. Then 3. The trigger code was sent. Below her, chaos was waking. Error infiltration system, the AI intoned flatly. Kayla didn't look up as the chamber's climate control system tried to recalibrate. Around her, tribunal members muttered in annoyance. The guards were on edge, but no one moved. This was not the kind of court where interruptions meant anything real. Power had always been an illusion in this place, one she was about to shatter. 40 decks below, Jace, the breaker's tech ops lead, detonated the first of 3 magnetic pulses. With a muffled thrum, the Dominion's internal comms systems flickered and went dark. Security feeds scrambled. One corridor lit up with false fire alerts, rerouting the station's AI-controlled defense drones to a non-existent threat. Kayla lifted her eyes as the tribunal judges re-entered. They were speaking among themselves, distracted, irritated by the technical difficulties. In their arrogance, they didn't consider that anyone might use their own systems against them. No one had ever dared. Until her. Judge Vol, a being of glassy carapace and liquid blue eyes, spoke first. The tribunal has reached consensus. Kayla tilted her head, slowly. How convenient, she said, voice dripping with contempt. Do you contest the ruling before it is spoken? The AI asked. No, Kayla replied. I just wanted to hear how far you'd go to keep pretending this was justice. The tribunal's sentence would never be spoken. As Vol opened his mouth, the chamber lights went red, then dark, then strobing crimson. A low wail filled the room, one that hadn't been heard in decades. Manual lockdown. System override detected, the AI blurted, now clearly glitching. Security breach. Level. Kayla struck. The chains around her wrists dissolved as microscopic nanobots activated on her skin, swarming like insects to eat through the bindings. In one motion, she dropped to the floor, rolled, and swept the legs of the closest guard out from under him. Before his body hit the ground, she'd already taken his pulse rifle. The tribunal erupted in screams. Judges backed away, guards scrambled, some aiming wildly into the dim light. Kayla moved like water through stone, direct, unyielding, purposeful. She didn't kill the first wave of soldiers. She incapacitated them. Stunned, disarmed, broken bones. She knew the eyes were watching. This was still a trial. Let them see her restraint. Let them compare it to what would come next. Above, one of the high windows exploded inward as Rin, Breaker's recon specialist, repelled in, dual sidearms spinning with mechanical grace. A plasma bolt struck the shoulder of a sentry drone, sending sparks into the air. Kayla met her eyes. Rin nodded. The breakers were in place. More figures moved in the shadows. Nico emerged from the access grate, patching into the AI core directly. Zoran, the ex-Dominion juggernaut, shouldered through a security wall, sending fractured metal panels cascading like leaves. The whole chamber was becoming a cage of their own design. Kayla moved toward the center of the room, past the panicked tribunal, past the disarmed guards. Her voice, when she spoke again, was calm. "This is not a rescue," she said. "This is a reversal." Judge Vol tried to stand, wings twitching. You'll be hunted for this." "We already were," Kayla replied. Rusk had not moved. Even as alarms blared and systems collapsed, he remained seated. He had known. Somehow, she realized he had known this was coming, that she would not come in chains unless she meant to leave in flames. Kayla approached him slowly, keeping her rifle lowered. "You knew I wouldn't let them decide the ending," she said. He nodded once, faintly. "I didn't know how far you'd go." "I came as far as they pushed me." "Do you think this is justice?" he asked. Kayla looked at the tribunal, now prisoners in their own sanctum, and then back at him. "I think this is balance. The justice comes after." Behind her, Zorn hauled two of the AI adjudicators offline, tearing their neural links from the platform. The Dominion's false neutrality had no more voice now. Just silence. The silence of reckoning. The last of the locks disengaged. Doors sealed. Ventilation systems reversed. No more interruptions. Kayla turned to the gathered breakers. Their armor was mismatched, their faces marked by years of exile, betrayal, and survival. But in their eyes burned a singular truth. They had followed her not for vengeance, but for clarity. For the day when masks would fall. "This trial," Kayla said, raising her voice so every recorder, every hidden lens could capture it, "is not over. It never began. But the sentencing." She looked to the tribunal, to the highest representatives of Dominion law, huddled and powerless. "That starts now." The first head fell, without ceremony. Judge Vol collapsed backward, blue ichor spilling across the polished tribunal floor as his shimmering carapace cracked from Kayla's blade. The others screamed, not from shock, but from the terrifying realization that there would be no escape, no pardon, no bargaining left to offer. The guards who might have intervened were either unconscious or dead, and the AI was offline, its voice reduced to a lifeless, flickering glyph on a dead screen. Kayla moved with controlled precision, her eyes cold, movements efficient. This was not slaughter. This was sentencing. "For Tyrex 4, she said, driving her blade through the throat of Judge Lin, a thin-boned humanoid who once authorized the forced relocation of 3 planetary populations in the name of resource control. Another fell. For Vessa's children. She had memorized their crimes, catalogued them not just in her mind but in the scars on her body and the broken lives of those who followed her. This was not vengeance for herself. It was history correcting itself, one breathless death at a time. Rin held the remaining tribunal members at gunpoint while Zoran and Nico sealed the chamber doors with fused metal braces. The tribunal was locked down, not just physically but in narrative. This room had become a crucible. The galaxy would remember what happened here not as an act of rebellion, but as a reckoning. Kayla turned to the final judge, a pale, six-eyed creature who shook silently, trying to mouth something, perhaps a plea, perhaps a prayer. She placed the barrel of her confiscated rifle between its central eyes and spoke without emotion. "For the silence you traded for power." The shot echoed like a gavel strike. Final. Absolute. She stood still for a moment, the blood and heat around her like a halo of consequence. Her armor, pieced together from scavenged Dominion tech and rebel ingenuity, flickered as its internal systems recalibrated. She wiped her blade clean, though there was no need. Let the blood speak. Behind her, General Rusk finally moved. "You could have made them answer publicly," he said. "Made it matter on every channel in the sector." Kayla didn't turn to him. Their words were lies. Their silence was worse. Their deaths are the only honest thing they've ever given. Rusk took a tentative step forward. His uniform was still immaculate, a symbol of loyalty he no longer seemed to wear with pride. "And what now, Kayla? You've burned the court. The Dominion will retaliate. You won't survive this." Kayla faced him, eyes unreadable. "That's where you're wrong. I didn't come here to survive." He searched her face for something, remorse, doubt, hesitation. He found none. You were better than this, he said quietly. No, she answered. I was always this. You just didn't want to see it. Rusk lowered his gaze. His sidearm remained holstered. A choice. One Kayla noted, but did not trust. The chamber's walls trembled faintly as external blasts rocked the upper decks. The breakers had not just taken the tribunal, Jace had activated the signal. Across the Dominion's controlled sectors, rebel factions were rising. This was the spark. Kayla moved to the central podium. Nico handed her a data slice, already wired into the chamber's main broadcast relay. She inserted it into the interface, and a blue light surged to life. Across Dominion space, every screen, every system tuned to state news, every outpost and occupied colony now saw her face. This is Commander Kayla Virex of the Breakers, she said, voice sharp, steady. The trial is concluded. The judges are dead. The Dominion has been weighed and found guilty. She paused only to breathe. They called us rebels, terrorists, savages. But they never showed you their crimes. So I brought them to judgment. I walked into their halls in chains. I walked out with their heads. The signal ended there. Short. Indelible. Rin looked at her. Quiet. We have to move. The second wave's begun. They'll be sending everything at us. Kayla nodded. We go dark. Regroup at Vale Station. Tell the cells to scatter and spread the footage. Let them see the truth. The breakers moved quickly, disappearing into the smoke and shadows as Dominion sirens echoed through the upper decks. Kayla was the last to leave, pausing for a heartbeat at the edge of the tribunal platform. She turned to Rusk. You have one chance, she said. Help what's coming. Or stay and be part of what ends. He didn't answer. She didn't wait. Kayla disappeared into the corridor, boots echoing against metal, the distant thrum of rebellion growing louder with every step. Behind her, the chamber stank of fire and judgment. In front of her, the war was only beginning.